everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting. Not right now, but most of the time, and I have been knitting, so I'll tell you all about it. Today's video is episode 18 of my weekly podcast, which is a weekly series where I tell you all about my knitting, spinning, and general fiber shenanigans over the course of the last week. So if that sounds interesting to you, hit the subscribe button and you won't miss out on any future nonsense. All right, let's get into it. I have my podcast notes here in my knitting journal, and it's an exciting week of things to go over with you. This episode covers my knitting from June 16th through today, the morning of June 24th. Last week's podcast episode, I was not home. I was on location while I was visiting my sister, but I'm back home here in Louisiana, coming at you with a fresh episode. All right, so let's start with the first section of the podcast, which is project updates. Last week, I only had one project, really, to update you on. That was my Miles shirt jacket by Haley Smedley, aka Ozetta. I'm very happy to report that this is now a finished object, or mostly a finished object. It is currently stretched out and pinned on my blocking mats, and the only thing that needs to happen before it is truly done and wearable, aside from unpinning it and removing it from the blocking mats, is to sew on the pockets. In the pattern instructions, it does say to sew on the pockets before blocking, but since I knew that I planned to aggressively block this garment, meaning I was going to stretch it to pin it out to the measurements that I wanted for the final garment stats, I knew I was going to be stretching it a lot, so I opted to sew the pockets on after blocking and just leave that until the final step. So I will be sewing on the buttons. Why do I keep calling them the buttons? I will also be sewing on buttons because there are buttons that will go on this jacket, but I will be sewing on the pockets once it's dry and unpinned from the blocking mats. I do plan to leave the garment on the blocking mats, pinned and stretched out for several days, even a few days after it's actually officially dry, just because I really want to give this garment a fighting chance to stick to the measurements that I've stretched it to. So it will be staying on the blocking mats for a few days hence, and I'll keep you updated. Maybe by next week's podcast, I'll be able to wear it and put it on and show you. But in the meantime, just know that it's done, it's cast off, and from what I can tell, I'm very happy with it. So there's the update on the Miles shirt jacket. All right, now let's keep going to the next item on my project updates list, and that is my Lento. Let me go grab it. You know, I really thought that I was prepared for this podcast. I thought that I had gathered everything that I was going to talk about, but alas, I did not. So there you go. Here's my Lento. It's all done. Where's the front and where's the back? Here we go. Ta-da! All done. I cast this off several days ago. I got home last week and I quickly set to work to finish my Lento. If you remember, or I guess I should say if you don't remember, when I went to visit my sister, I brought the Lento with me, but I failed to remember to bring the third skein of both the fingering weight and the lace weight yarn that I was using to make this garment with. I got so far, I almost finished this, but with 10 rows left of the ribbing, I ran out of the fingering weight yarn. So I couldn't work on that while I was visiting my sister any longer. Once I got home, I wound up the skein of the fingering weight yarn, I set to work, I continued knitting, and then guess what happened after that? With 1.5 rows left of the ribbing, I ran out of the Suri, the lace weight yarn. So I did end up winding all 3 skeins for my Lento, both in the fingering weight yarn and the lace weight yarn, but really I used such a negligible amount of those third skeins. It's like maddening. If I had shortened the body by a few rows, I would not have needed to wind those 3 or those final skeins of the 3. It would have been a two skein of each weight project, so a 4 skein project total. So if you're plus size like me, a 4 skein project is like, sign me up. Where can I, like, how fast can I do this? Immediately I want to do that. So still, you know, 6 skeins is not the most that I could use for a project, but it's certainly not a negligible number. So anyway, ultimately I'm happy with the amount of yarn I used. I got the fingering weight yarn from Leslie of Knit California. I got it off of her D-stash, and then the Suri weight yarn is yarn that was gifted to me by Audrey of Dusty Yarn Co. So the fingering weight yarn is Fuzzy Peach Fibers in the colorway Wildberry, and the Suri, the lace weight, is called Cousins from Dusty Yarn Co. So it creates this really beautiful, soft, purplish pink fabric that I'm really, really happy with. I have a very detailed notes on my Ravelry project page for this Lento, so if you're interested in that, you can feel free to check it out. All of the projects that I go over in my videos here on YouTube, I almost always link my project page on Ravelry. So if you find Ravelry helpful, you're a Ravelry user and you want to look at the project page, please feel free to do so. But we have a finished object. I'm really, really happy with this Lento. It's going to get a lot of wear and be a wardrobe staple. Also, something exciting about this Lento is it is my 24th make. My goal for this year, 2024, was to make 24 items from start to finish. So that means if I finished something that I started in 2023 or even earlier than 2023, I would not count that towards my goal of 24 things. This goal is isolated only to items I made from start to finish during this calendar year. And I'm so pleased to know and to tell you that I have completed that goal with lots of time to spare, but also before the year is even half over. Amazing, amazing. Now, okay, I just want to say, I dedicate a lot of my time to knitting and to making. I have a lot of privilege to be able to do that. So, you know, I recognize that. Not everybody can do this. Even if you don't finish a single solitary item during the calendar year of 2024 or any calendar year, your making is still awesome and you are still amazing. All right, okay, great. So there's the update on my Lento. Very, very happy with this. Have I mentioned this before? There's errors in this pattern. The increases are just... There's some issues with the increases. They get misaligned. There's a lot of info on this on project notes of various Ravelry users. So when I make the Lento for a third time, this is the second time I've made this pattern, I will be following some tips and tricks that other Ravelry users have shared to mitigate the error of the misaligned increases. So there you go. If you want to make this pattern, it's a great pattern, very wearable piece, but just be forewarned that there are errors and, you know, go knowingly, go prepared. You may have to do some modifications and make some adjustments. I also want to say, if you're not familiar with this pattern, it's knit on US size 10 needles for the main portion, US size 6 for the ribbing. So that makes it that the gauge is fairly open. But it also means that it's a fairly quick knit. I knit this in, what are the stats? I mean, less than a month, surely. Okay, so I cast this on May 29th, and I cast it off on June 20th. Today, June 24th, I sewed in some elastic on the neckband to cinch it up, but really from the 29th of May to the 20th of June, this was done. And keep in mind, there are 2 weeks within that time frame where this was on hiatus. So really, this is an extremely fast knit if you focus on it, or, you know, even if you don't finish it in that short amount of time, it's just, you know, it's fast. Okay? Yeah. So there you go. There's the Lento. The next project update I have, which I haven't actually started yet. Let me take this out of the bag and show you. This is Grayson, which is my oldest nephew's rat that I gave him for his birthday last year. And I have to say, I made a very grievous error as an aunt. Here's the deal. I gave this rat, who is now named Grayson, named by my nephew, gave this to my nephew for his birthday at the end of last year. Early this year, my niece had a birthday, and so I gave her a rat. When I was FaceTiming my niece and she was picking out her custom colors for her custom rat, she specifically requested that the rat have a certain color on its feet so it would look like it had nail polish. Okay, so as you can see, my nephew's rat doesn't have feet, doesn't have legs, is just, you know, a legless rat. Okay, so I was going to make my niece a rat also without legs because you need to have consistency. You can't show favoritism. But then on FaceTime, when she requested that her rat have nail polish, obviously the rat needed to have legs and therefore toes. It had to happen. So, of course, as soon as my niece opened her rat, my nephew was faced with the reminder that his rat did not have legs. So after my visit, my nephew sent me home with Grayson with the task of adding legs to this distinguished gentleman. So I will be adding legs to Grayson. That's a project that I have on deck that I haven't started yet, but I plan to finish before the end of July is my goal. This is the kind of project where if I sit down and do it, I could have it done in an hour, probably. But I need to mentally prepare and hype myself up and psych myself out in order to do it. Anybody else have those? It's like one of those menial tasks you have that you put off for 6 months, but once you do it, it's like 5 minutes and you think, that wasn't scary. Why did I wait so long? But I don't know. This week I have quite a long to-do list, so this is going to just have an end of July date in my mind. Then if I get it done this week, I'll just feel extra productive and awesome. So I'm trying to set myself up for success either way. If I get it done early, I'm amazing. If I get it done before the end of July, I am normal. So either way, it's a win. But there's Grayson. I will be adding 4 little legs to Grayson. That also means I need to find the yarn in my stash that corresponds to Grayson. I know that he is made out of Malabrigo Rios, and I know that I have the cakes in my collection. I just need to locate them, which is no small task. But once I do, it'll be over for this guy. He's gonna have no more days as a legless rat. All right, next project update I have for you is a fun new cast on. I cast this on yesterday, actually. This is my Purple Heart sweater, or more formally known as my Gretter sweater. This is the Gretter or Grettier by Jared Flood. It doesn't want to focus on this. Here we go. Let's assist it, maybe. Would you like to focus on this? My camera is protesting, but this is the Gretter by Jared Flood, as I mentioned, and I'm knitting it up in just the most delicious non-superwash base. This is Clockwork Fiber Co, and the base is analog worsted, so it's 100% untreated American wool. It's a 3-ply worsted weight base, and it's sensational. It's phenomenal. Maybe it will focus better if I show you the cake. There we go. Just look at how just scrumdiddlyumptious that looks. Ugh, it's so dreamy to work with. If you haven't tried Sam's yarn, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Specifically, you got to try the analog line. There is this worsted weight. There's also DK weight, which is this purple sweater quantity I have in the bottom corner of my yarn wall. It's just glorious. It's so, so soft and squishy and delightful. So if you're looking for a new go-to non-superwash, check Sam's analog line out. She actually has a collection open for pre-order right now called Mystical Seas. I want to say Mystical Mermaid, but I'm combining the name of a colorway with the name of the collection. So let me fact check myself so I'm not giving you fake news. Mystical Seas. Yes, that's the name of the collection. And it is a beautiful collection of colors that fade together really, really seamlessly. Just beautiful. Look at this colorway. This is called Elusive Mermaid, which is why I was thinking of the name Elusive. But I want to show you it specifically on the analog base. This is Analog DK. Just look how beautiful that color translates on that non-superwash base. Oh, it's so dreamy. So anyway, all that to say, the analog non-superwash base from Clockwork Fiber Co. is chef's kiss. It's a dream to work with. So the story behind this yarn and this project is, at the beginning of this year, I was wearing my blue Guerin sweater, which I made years ago, and I was noticing how the color work looks quite similar to hearts, and I was thinking, man, this would be so cute with a purple as the main color and then like pink for the contrast color to have like cute little hearts on your purple sweater. And Sam provided yarn support and made it happen so this sweater could come into existence. I cast it on in March, and basically this sweater is it's down, what is it? What is that called? Bottom up. It's a bottom up pattern where you knit the sleeves and then you knit the body and then you join them for the yoke, do the color work yoke, do the decreases, and you cast off. Okay, wonderful. So I cast on a sleeve at the beginning of March. I wasn't a fan of how the rate of increases were looking on the sleeve, so I decided I would use that as my swatch, and then it just kind of got put on the back burner. My making mojo went this, that, the other place, but finally it has returned to this beautiful purple yarn. This is called Grape Jelly. It just really doesn't want to focus on the project. There we go. Just have to find the sweet spot of distance, I suppose. I did a tubular cast on, so squishy and nice and beautiful. So there's an update on that. I took this around with me today while I was running errands and got some knitting done on it. I see, like, I can't even resist to not knit on it right now as I'm filming, but I must put this away so I can continue. But this purple Guerin is a dream to work with, and I'm only like an inch into the ribbing. So maybe by the end of the day, I'll be done with ribbing. The ribbing is like 3 inches on this pattern, so it's a bit of a hefty ribbed hem, but I would like to get to the body portion today, if for nothing else, that I can change to the main body needles and just like know that I'm smooth sailing without any additional tools or needle tips that I'll need for a while, and just kind of knit away on the body. Great. Okay, the next project update, I was going to say costume update, but that's certainly not what I mean. The next project update is on my Azucena, and again, as with the last few times I've updated you on it, I don't have it with me. It's in my purse in the other room. I've already gotten up once. I don't want to get up again, so I'll just tell you I got a few rows in on a trip to the grocery store and the to and from car ride while I was passenger princess. So slow and steady progress on that pullover. It's going to be absolutely beautiful when it's done and wearable, but it sure is slow going because it's just become my purse project. So no complaints there. That's just the situation. But there we have it. Those are my project updates. Now let's continue on to the next section, which is the spin diary section of the podcast. A couple exciting things for the spin diary section. The first is that I've been spinning my Rolags. Ever since I got home from my sister's, I've been spinning a little bit here and there on these Rolags that my friend Corey sent me, and just this morning I finished spinning them up. So I had 28, come on, let's see if it does, what do I have that I can, maybe this? I have 20, there we go. I had 28 Rolags. How many times do I have to try and say I have 28 Rolags? I had 28 Rolags from Corey, and basically I split them up into piles of 14 Rolags each, and now I have 14 Rolags spun onto this bobbin and 14 Rolags spun onto this bobbin. I am a little bit concerned. See, like I can fit through so the camera still wants to focus on me. Hello. Okay, focus. I am a little concerned that this bobbin seems a little bit more full than this bobbin, but we'll see. I'm going to ply them together maybe towards the end of this week. I think I'm going to let these bobbins rest a few days. Are you an experienced spinner? Do you let your bobbins rest? It seems like I don't know, not a standardized choice people make, so I don't know. I figured why not? I'll let them rest a few days. So in a few days, I'll ply those up. I'm really excited to see what this looks like in yarn form. Even just looking at the bobbins themselves, the depth of color and all of the color changes that happen is just beautiful to see. So I'm really excited to see what that looks like plied up. I don't know enough about how, I don't know, how fiber on the bobbins or how singles look and how they might translate into yarn to feel confident on what these will look like at the end of the day when they're plied up together. So we'll just kind of find out together. I'll let you know what they end up looking like. Aside from the Rolags though, which I've been spinning on Spinelli, down here, Spinelli the spinning wheel, the Eco Fantasia, which was so kindly gifted to me by Kromsky and Sons. I've also been spinning quite a bit on my EEW Nano 2 on Elliott Stapler. I've been spinning this purple Corriedale. Oh, it's juicy. It's nice. And the bobbin is filling out quite nicely. I'd like to finish this Corriedale, this dark purple, this week. So like I said, we'll just see. I have a long to-do list. I have a lot of things I want to accomplish this week. Probably half of them will actually end up happening. Who knows which half that will be? We'll find out. But I'm having a good time spinning. You may have noticed that I have not had a 100 days of spinning vlog update in a while, and that's just because I haven't been consistent with my spinning. I haven't been doing it every day. I certainly haven't been filming it every time I've spun. So, you know, I had so many spinning plates between traveling and a few other things that one of the plates had to drop, and chronicling my daily spinning and even daily spinning in the first place is kind of what fell off of the spinning plates spinners. Yeah. Okay, so that's the update on my spinning. I'm having a really good time spinning. I remain super excited about spinning. I need to find the sweet spot of not hurting myself when I'm spinning, not hyper focusing to the point where my posture like freezes into slouch mode after long spinning sessions. So that's still something I'm working on and I'm figuring out, but I'm still enjoying myself even when my back hurts after I've spun for a while. So there's a spin diary update. Now let's move to the acquisition section of the podcast. Okay, welcome to acquisitions. I have a hearty amount of things to show you. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is something that I did not realize was as large as it is. This is a cone of yarn. For reference, this is how it looks sitting on my shoulder. It's taller than my head. It's humongous. This is a cone that DJ's aunt gave me. I guess someone said, hey, do you know anyone who would want some yarn? And she said, yeah, I know just the person. And now I have a cone of yarn that is the size of my head. It looks like it's maybe a worsted or Aran weight yarn, and it's actually just a beautiful, perfect color. It's it has all these colors in it. It has yellows and blues and purples, but the base color is it's very similar actually to the shirt I'm wearing, or the top I'm wearing, which is like a gray blue purple, like a heather gray purple sort of. I'm not sure what I'll make with this. If you have ideas, let me know in the comments. I don't know how much there is other than a lot. Like, could I make a sweater out of this? I honestly don't know. And I'm kind of afraid to try because what if I lose yarn chicken? I don't know where this yarn is from. I don't know how I could possibly get more of it. So, but this is exciting. It's really, really pretty. Just totally right up my alley. Free yarn is awesome, but free yarn that is in your color scheme that you love is just even better. So there's a fun acquisition from my aunt-in-law. So if you have ideas for that big honking cone, let me know in the comments. The next acquisition I have, gotta grab it from my cubbies. I got a skein of this really juicy purple yarn from Kimbers Cozy Creations. This is in the colorway Grape Jelly, and it's a really, really beautiful, deep, deep purple. It's funny because this colorway is also called Grape Jelly, so it's fun to see how different dyers, you know, interpret different colors. So the story with this Kimbers Cozy Creation skein, which was sent to me, is gifted to me from Kimber. She knows that I'm looking for the perfect purple to make a colorwork sweater with this Funfetti yarn, also from Kimbers Cozy Creations. The colorway is called Funfetti. And so she sent me this skein of Grape Jelly to see if it was what I was envisioning to pair with Funfetti. And I think that it's just a little bit too dark for what I'm looking for. Funfetti is so bright and summery, so I'm really looking for a vibrant purple that will bring out the brightness of these speckles and just kind of match that energy, if that makes sense. So I think Kimber is going to be developing a new purple, or sending me a different one she has. I'm not quite sure. I'll keep you updated. But I really appreciate Kimber working with me to find the perfect shade to go with this beautifully fun speckled yarn that she also gifted me. Just look at that little section of speckles right there at the top. It's so pretty. So yeah, that was an acquisition. Since this is not working for my vision to pair with Funfetti, I'm thinking that I will make maybe a hat or like a little shawl with this purple. Again, open to your pattern suggestions. Let me know in the comments. This is one skein of DK weight yarn. It's a wool nylon blend, and it's 245 yards per 100 grams. So if that helps you be knowledgeable about what you would make out of this, please let me know in the comments. The next acquisition that I have for you is kind of going back to my spinning section. So if you remember, over the course of the last few weeks, I updated you on the base that I ordered from the Spinning Siren. This is the base that Elliott Stapler, my e-spinner, sits on, and there were 4 little pegs on this base that broke off. They were 3D printed pegs. This whole thing is 3D printed. And so that meant there was nothing to secure my e-spinner to the base, which is kind of the whole point of purchasing the base. So I reached out to the good folks at the Spinning Siren, let them know, and they sent me a replacement base, which is, hold on, let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. One thing I really appreciate about this new base is the e-spinner is absolutely secure on here. Oh, seriously? Okay, so taking the e-spinner off, another piece broke off. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's just that 3D printed things are more fragile than I'm thinking. But anyway, all this to say, this new box, see, this is the piece that I just broke off. This new box, this new base has screws instead of 3D printed pegs, which secure the e-spinner. So let me just go ahead and put this back on. So even though that piece is gone, the e-spinner seems to be secure on here, so that's good. Man, that's really frustrating, and like, surely there has to be some, I don't know, middle ground of user error and what's going on with this product. I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see the hole there now. But all that's to say, I got this new box, which I was super happy with until just now. So yeah, there's the update on my spinning siren box. Yeah, okay, that kind of has thrown me for a loop. But I am happy to have this. I'm glad that they sent me a new box, and the customer service was great when I was letting them know about my issues. And like, this still feels secure, so I don't feel like I need to let them know about what just happened, but it's kind of a bummer, this little piece being gone. But there's an acquisition I have from the Spinning Siren. Okay, let's move on to the next acquisition, which is a bag of Darby's hair. I took Darby to the groomer today, and I asked them if they would save Darby's hair in a bag for me, and the groomer said she would try. And then when I picked Darby up, she did not only try, she succeeded. So I have a bag full of Darby's hair, and I'm going to spin this into yarn one day. So I need to wash this and comb it and make sure all the fibers are going in the right direction. That's a project for future Rachel. Current Rachel, this week Rachel, it's not going to happen. So future Rachel will address this and handle this accordingly. But yeah, I've got a bag of Darby hair to spin one day, either on Elliott Stapler or Spinelli. I'm really excited to have some of Darby's hair to spin and then eventually knit up into a keepsake piece, because Darby's not going to be around forever, and I want something to have and to hold and remember her by, and I don't know, it feels special to me, so I'm excited for the opportunity. I have had people tell me that it's important to make your pet hair into a wool blend, like add wool in the processing, so when you go to spin it, it's grabbier and it's a bit easier to spin, because pet hair can be difficult to spin. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm not going to worry about it right now, but I do have it on my radar. So if you're watching this and worried that I'm just gonna, you know, go in without knowing that, I know it. Don't you worry. Whether or not I implement it is another matter. All right, so the next acquisition that I have, I'm actually wearing. This is an FO that I didn't knit, I didn't make. This was sent to me as a gift from Cassandra. Her handle on Instagram is Knit with Nimbus, and she said, you know what, I think our measurements are similar. This color is totally your color. Would you like me to send you my Salty Air tee? And I thought, in what universe do I say no to that? So Cassandra sent me this beautiful, beautiful knit. It fits great. It feels great. And not only that, folks, she also sent me a full skein of the yarn that it was knit up in. So this is, what is this? Amanda Home Yarn Merino Linen. That's why this feels so good. It doesn't feel hot at all. So it's a fingering weight, single ply, superwash, 21.5 micron, 90% merino, 10% linen, and the colorway is French lavender. And here you can see the label with the fiber information. So I've got a full skein here, as well as a partial skein in cake form. Cassandra was so thoughtful to send me these. And it doesn't stop there. She also sent me 2 skeins of less traveled yarn in the colorway Poetic Perry, I believe, and it's 70% BFL, 20% silk, 10% cashmere, and the Blueface Leicester is from the UK. This colorway is so pretty. It's like multi-dimensional, pink and blue up close, so then far away it looks purple. So she sent me 2 skeins of that. What should I make with these? Do you know of any plus size tees that you can make with 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn? If so, please let me know in the comments. But just gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And she also sent me a dog collar, a purple dog collar for Miss Darby. So the generosity just knows no bounds. Cassandra, if you're watching this, thank you. Is it Cassandra or Cassandra? I should have asked that ahead of time. I'm gonna DM you and ask you. It's Cassandra, y'all. I asked her. Cleared it up. There you go. But yeah, thank you so much. So generous, so thoughtful. The making community is full of just nice people. Just really, really nice people. So we've got the yarn acquisitions. We've got the spinning acquisitions. We've got the dog hair acquisitions. I've saved the best for last. Or the one I'm like so excited about for last. I told you that this was a hearty acquisitions week. I have a collaboration coming up with Kat and Penny Strickland of Cesium Yarn. If you've been around here for a while, you may remember that I've also collaborated with them for my most heartfelt thing to bring into the world, which is the cabin collection. This is a collection dyed by Kat and, you know, distributed by Cesium Yarn, but made in partnership with me, inspired by my family cabin. So there's colorways that are inspired by the carpet of the cabin, the walls of the cabin, the fireplace, the couches, you know, the scenery. All of that is present in the cabin collection. Now we're collaborating again, this time for a 2-color collaboration, and the colors are named after my catchphrases, things that I say all the time. So without further ado, let me show you Ask for What You Want. This is a beautiful purple tonal yarn. Here I have it on 3 skeins of Cesium Yarn's DK weight base. This is Merino DK, which is 100% superwash merino wool with 231 yards per skein. You can see the depth and just the glory, the beauty of this colorway. Ask for What You Want. Next, also named after a catchphrase of mine, is the variegated colorway of this little collaboration, which is called Clench Your Butts. Yes, Clench Your Butts. Okay, so basically, if you're not familiar, to clench your butt is to be anxious, be hopeful, be apprehensive, be excited. It could mean anything you need it to mean. But basically, when someone asks you, specifically when I ask you to clench your butt, I'm asking for solidarity. I'm asking for support. I'm asking for community, you know? So anyway, here you go. Clench your butts. This is a beautiful variegated colorway, also shown here on 3 skeins of the Cesium Merino DK base. If I take this yarn label off, you can really see the depth here. There's dark purples to light purples that are almost lilac, almost look white. It's just gorgeous. So much depth, so much color jam-packed into these skeins. But that's not all. These colors are also available, or will be available, on fiber. So I have 2 braids of fiber here, 1 for each color. They do look very similar in fiber form, but if you look at them a little closer, you'll be able to see some distinct differences. Okay, so Ask for What You Want is the top color here. It's very much focused on purple, whereas Clench Your Butts here on the bottom has almost blues, sections that look nearly black, but they're just dark purple. So beautiful. So although they are definitely the same vibe on fiber, there are distinct differences all the same. This is on 100% non-superwash Shaniko fiber. Shaniko, not sure how you say that. When I looked up the pronunciation on Google, there was a YouTube video of an amorphous man saying Shaniko. So if that's correct, Shaniko. I'm not sure though. So it feels really, really good, feels grippy. I think this is going to be a real dream to spin. These two colorways in fiber and also yarn form are going to be available as dyed to order on Saturday, June 29th. So if you would like to get your hands on some beautiful purples and support me as well as Cesium Yarn in the process, then be sure to clench your butts and ask for what you want, put these in your cart, and you'll be good to go. So that was a really fun acquisition to receive. I love collaborating with Kat and Penny. They're just the best. So if you don't follow them, make sure you give them a follow on Instagram at Cesium Yarn. And yeah. So just good things all around. Really, really a good week for knitting, for finishing objects, for casting on new projects, and lots of happy mail. Can't complain. I am bummed out though that I broke this again. Like, am I the devil? Or like, what's going on here? Like, I don't think that it is going to affect functionality because the e-spinner is not moving around, but it's just not, it's like, it's not aesthetic, you know, to just have this gap. Like, what if a little mouse pops in there or something? And not in a good way, you know? So anyway, other than that, I'd say it's a pretty good week. So maybe next week during the podcast, I won't break anything on camera and we'll call that a win. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the final section of the podcast, which is the announcement section. Most of these you've heard before, but I'll tell you anyway. So the first is that in the announcement section of the video description box, there is a Google form link to submit your video requests or video ideas. If there's something you'd love for me to make for you here on YouTube, please let me know in that Google form. The second announcement is also about a Google form. Sign up for my email list. I have some exciting things coming down the pipeline that I'll be announcing first via email. So if you'd like to be among the first to know, the first maybe to sign up for certain things, join that email list. The third announcement is that also in the announcement section of the video description box, I've added a Ravelry wish list. This is like kind of weird to say, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm getting a lot of pattern recommendations, which is amazing and wonderful. And I would love to investigate these patterns further, and I'd love to check them out thoroughly. So if you're interested in supporting the channel in this way, you can feel free to gift me a pattern on Ravelry. Doesn't even have to be on the Ravelry wish list, but that's kind of becoming a curated spot where I can keep track of all of your pattern recommendations and other patterns that I'm interested in to try. So there's obviously no pressure for that, but if you would like to support the channel, that's one great way to do it. And lastly, for my announcements, on this Friday, June 28th, Leslie of Knit California, she and I are going to do an Instagram Live. This will be my first Instagram Live, but we're starting a new series where one of us shows the other a sweater quantity, or it could even be just one skein, but we show the other person yarn from our collection, and they have the job of finding a pattern that we should make with that yarn. We can take it or leave it, whatever suggestions they come up with, but we'll be going over that on Instagram Live. For this one, the first one, it's my turn to show yarn and Leslie's turn to hunt down the perfect pattern. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can tune in to our pages on Friday, June 28th. I believe it will be at 7 p.m. Central Time, so you can do the math to figure out what that is for your time zone. And yeah, I hope you tune in. I think it should be a really fun time, and we want to make that a regular thing. So after this time, the next time, I'll be finding a pattern for yarn that Leslie shows me, and it'll just be fun. So yeah, tune in if that seems interesting to you. But that's really all I have for this week. It's been a really good week. I'm looking forward to another great week, and I hope that your week has been just as fruitful and just as enjoyable, and that it continues to be so as you work on whatever it is your little heart desires. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and hit that notification bell to be notified of my next upload. Last but not least, head over to Instagram and follow me at Rachel is Knitting if you don't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.